What if your thoughts weren't just thoughts? What if they weren't just that quiet chatter inside your own head, but a literal force that could actually shape the world around you? Well, today we're diving into the vibration hypothesis, an idea that's pretty compelling and for sure controversial. It suggests that our reality isn't something that just happens to us, but something we're actively creating every single moment.
So let's just get right to it. This is the big question at the heart of the whole thing. Can your feelings, your joy, your anger, can they actually leave a physical imprint on the world? I know, it sounds a little bit like science fiction, right? But the argument we're about to unpack suggests it might be closer to science fact.
Okay, so the entire idea, it really rests on this one powerful premise, the vibration hypothesis. It basically suggests that nothing is truly solid. Nope. Instead, everything, from the screen you're looking at to your own thoughts, is just energy, vibrating at a very specific frequency. And here's the crucial part. It claims that your personal frequency is what dictates the reality you experience.
To really get this, you kind of have to stop seeing the world as being made up of separate things. According to this hypothesis, the universe is a lot more like a giant orchestra than a warehouse. It's all about energy, frequency, and vibration. And to give this idea some real weight, its supporters often lean on the words of some of history's greatest minds.
So how do you take a pretty radical idea and make it feel more credible? Well, a common way is to borrow a little authority from some very famous thinkers. Let's take a look at the key quotes that are used to build the case for this whole vibration hypothesis.
First up, we've got this really powerful quote that's widely credited to the inventor Nikola Tesla. Now, whether he actually said it is up for debate, but the message itself is crystal clear. If you want to understand the universe, you've got to think like a musician in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. This really sets the stage for everything else that follows. And the next piece of the puzzle, it comes from Max Planck, one of the pioneers of quantum theory. This quote is used to make a huge leap. It connects the physical world of matter directly to a conscious and intelligent mind. It suggests that consciousness isn't just some byproduct of the universe, but maybe its source.
But look, philosophical quotes are one thing. They are not exactly proof. The real core of this argument rests on what's presented as physical evidence. And that evidence comes from the fascinating and pretty controversial work of a Japanese researcher, Dr. Masaru Emoto.
This brings us to the main event, the central experiment. And what was the target of this experiment? Simple, H2O, water. The hypothesis was that human intention, our thoughts and our emotions, could physically change the very structure of water.
So the method itself was pretty straightforward. Dr. Emoto's team took samples of water and exposed them to all sorts of different inputs. Some samples got positive words and feelings, like love and gratitude. Others, well, they were bombarded with negativity, words like hate and fear. Then they flash froze the samples to see what kinds of crystal shapes would show up. And the results that were presented, they were honestly astonishing. The water that was exposed to all those positive intentions, it reportedly froze into these beautiful, totally symmetrical, snowflake-like crystals. The visual argument here is that harmonious thoughts create harmonious structures.
And in stark contrast, the water exposed to all that negative energy, it allegedly formed these chaotic, disfigured, and incomplete structures. The conclusion being presented is pretty hard to miss. The vibration of the emotion seems to be physically imprinted right onto the water itself.
But how can an invisible force, like a thought, create a visible shape? It's a fair question. To make this concept a little easier to grasp, the argument turns to this really fascinating field of science that literally makes vibrations visible.
It's called cymatics, the study of visible sound. And really, it provides this powerful visual metaphor. It shows how pure frequency can organize just random matter, like sand, into these beautiful, complex geometric patterns. So check out how this works. You put some sand on a metal plate and you play a sound frequency. Almost instantly, the sand organizes itself into a perfect geometric pattern. Then, as you turn up the frequency, that pattern dissolves and then reforms into a new, even more complex one. The takeaway is just so clear. A change in vibration creates a direct change in physical form.
So, what's the point of all this? How does this all connect back to you and me? We've looked at quotes, water crystals, vibrating sand. The source material now ties all these threads together to make its final point.
Okay, this is where it all comes together. The argument's conclusion is actually pretty simple. It goes like this. Your thoughts are vibrations. Your body is over 70% water. So just like sound shapes sand and intention shapes water crystals, your own personal frequency is constantly shaping the very cells of your body. You are, in a very real sense, a living, breathing, cymatic experiment.
And so, we're left with this one final, really provocative question. It's a call for some self-reflection, really. If all of this is true, if the vibration of your inner world actually has the power to create form, then what pattern are you creating right now?